Well, I often say this every single time. As you all know, Mondays are usually the most boring day starting the week. However, I intend to keep your Mondays fun and exciting. So today we're going to be doing something different. We're going to be doing two reviews, of course. The first one is from Pandemonium Pro Wrestling, and this is from their much recent event that took place during WrestleMania week back on April 15th. It features, of course, the debut of both Stardom talents Natsupoi and Saya Ida, and of course, two championship matches, which is going to be a lot of fun too. So we're going to go through everything on this particular event, and then we move on with ChocoPro with their much recent event, number 517, that took place on the 21st of April, featuring very interesting matches, including an exhibition match from the rookies themselves, of course. And then, as always, we'll wrap up our episode, as usual, with some news updates to give you guys updates on what's been happening in the world of wrestling, such as what events the promotions are throwing out, who's booked, what matches are set, including developments that are happening in the world of wrestling as we speak. So, let's get ready for another episode of Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Hey everyone, welcome to Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, TNA, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J-Rod here. So, if you are new to the channel, welcome. This is a channel we do a lot of pro wrestling reviews from various promotions, not only here in the United States, but also in Japan, Mexico, Canada, Europe, the UK, anywhere pro wrestling is not as big, but it continues to grow. We also, of course, do discussion videos, talk about various topics such as the wrestlers themselves, the promotions, factions, storylines, whatever we want to talk about. We also, of course, do more news updates. If certain information is unable to be on this episode, we can either put it on the next one or on a separate video by itself. We also, of course, do real-time news updates to keep you guys on alert if something has happened in the world of wrestling that needs to be addressed ASAP. We also, of course, got the Unagi Sayaka Watch and various other cool wrestling content as well. So if you like what you see, please subscribe to us and click on that subscribe button. You'll be getting a lot of daily reviews and other cool wrestling content as well. But if you like this episode, please give us a like on the like button or nice comments in the description down below. Now, enough of the jibber jabbers, let's get started. So, let's begin with Pandemonium Pro Wrestling. Okay, Pandemonium Pro Wrestling. Now, the last time I think I might have reviewed this event might have been either last year's WrestleMania or the year before that. I have no clue. I can't even recall it, but I do remember I did review this. And I know it's kind of weird that the name Pandemonium, but it's a pretty interesting name. I'm not gonna lie. This is their latest event called Whateve Forever, and this happened, of course, on the 15th of April of this month, of course, during WrestleMania week. But however, you can still catch this event on their YouTube channel, and it was just recently uploaded, of course, which you cannot miss. Now, our first match is a four-way match. We have Miku Alana, who many of you know from West Coast Pro. She takes on Frankie B versus Alexis Littlefoot versus MJ Santana. Now, I don't know much about certain people. Frankie B, I have heard the name before. The other two, not so much. I may have heard them somewhere, but I'm not paying attention. But Miku Alana is a well-recognized wrestler because, as you know, she was trained at the West Coast Pro Academy. But yes, but it was a pretty good match. But in the end, it was Miku Lano with a Tiger Driver onto Frankie B, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, done. Next up, we have six-man tag team match with the style of lucha libre, high-flying stuff, which is cool. We have Eddie Grayson and Jack Fowler, who I mentioned. These guys are 18 years old and recently got signed by NWA, and they're joined by, of course, some people say he's the biggest prick, Spencer Scott. Their opponents are, of course, lucha libre wrestlers. Calibus, he teams up with the Mexi Boys, Spiderfly, and Noisy Boy. Now, I have heard of Noisy Boy before. I'm trying to remember, was he part of DTU, which is a promotion run by Crazy Boy. But it was a fantastic high-flying match. I have to say, pretty good. But, however, this match ended with a corkscrew moonsault by Spencer Scott onto Spiderfly, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, adios. Next match, we have the All Day Crew, Bryce, Kozo, and Cantus Leon. They take on Kid Isaac and Canon Koros. A pretty good match, not gonna lie. I'm not sure exactly. I had that, as you know, I've always talked about tag team cohesion with the All Day Crew. Seems like they are very cohesion, and that's exactly what happened. But we did see a combination with All Day Crew taking on Karus, and just like that, it was Leon who picked up the win. 1, 2, 3, done. It was a pretty good match to enjoy. Now, our next match is a championship match in a 5-way for the Pandemonium Television Championship. We have Parm Singh Man versus Dustin Nguyen versus Javi versus Zeb Saint 1 versus Vengador. And of course, when it comes to 5 ways, it's chaotic because we don't know how this was going to end. I mean, there's going to be plenty of ways how this match was going to stop. I wasn't too sure. I'm not familiarized with a whole lot of these wrestlers except for Vengador, whose main name has been mentioned a bunch of times in GCW. But it was in fact Zeb who picked up the win with a interesting move, and he did that by pinning Javi, and he is now the new Pandemonium Television Champion. On a note, this belt was vacant. It's still unclear why, but yes, that's what happened. Our next match, we have another 6-man tag. We have the no-bail busted or something. Devion Cass, Jay Boshin. They team up with Junie Underwood. They take on C4, Cody Chun and Guillermo Rosas, where they team up with Steven Bradley. I thought this match was pretty good. I thought it was really fun and enjoyable. But however, it was in fact the bailout by, of course, the no bail onto Steven Bradley. But it was, of course, Boshin who picked up the win by pinning. 1, 2, 3, done. Now, our next match, we have Jaya Jewel taking on Daisuke Sasaki, who many of you may or may not have heard of him. He is from DDT Pro Wrestling across the Pacific to Japan. Sasaki, he is a dangerous wrestler. He plays dirty. He's also the leader of the group known as Damnation TA. But yes, that sets it out. But of course, he was going to use dirty tactics in order to pick up the win. But Jaya Jewel can take a fight. But the one thing that helped him is, of course, putting him in the Gator roll. And then he gave him the see you later Gator. And just like that, 1, 2, 3, done. Next up, we have women's action. We have Alexis Lee, who many of you know. She's from Singapore. I have seen her before. She even appeared in Tokyo Pro Wrestling and ChocoPro. She takes on Jocelyn Navarro. A pretty good match, not gonna lie. But it was Navarro who picked up the win by applying the tombstone, which of course you would have said, rest in peace. Yep. So it ended right there. The next match, we have Johnny Robbie, who at the time was still the West Coast Pro Women's Champion, but she lost that belt to Miyu Momono. However, in this match, she had to face the Cosmic Fairy, or the High Speed Fairy herself, Natsupoi, making her debut, and this was her first show involving in the U.S., of course, and of course everybody knows who she is. She's very, very, capable, not to mention for her size. But she took it like a champ. No matter what Johnny Robbie tried to do, it was not enough. But it was the ferial gift that sealed the deal for Natsupoi to put away Johnny Robbie. Just like that, 1, 2, 3, adios. Now, our next match, we have a tag team match, and we have Jordan Saint teaming up with Robert Martyr. They take on New Fever, which is uh, Danny Orion and Shimbashi. A pretty good match, not gonna lie. There was a lot of desperation coming from Robert Martyr and Saint, but in the end, it was in fact a star baptism by Shimbashi onto Saint, and Shimbashi picked up the win. Now our main event is for the Pandemonium Championship. Um, Amira defends it against two other ladies. One is Saida, who also is making her debut, and the kick demon Janai Kai. Now, obviously, for those who did not know, the commentators mentioned that this was not the first time something like this happened in a three-way for this title, and that they said that she had to face two other men for this belt, and that's how she won it. So now it's like she's doing it this time with the women. Would it make sense? But of course, when it comes to three ways, it's chaotic. You don't know how this is gonna end because one person that could determine to stop the pinfall, and that's always been the case. But Amira was the one who picked up the win by pinning Janai Kai, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. So just like that, Amira retained the belt. So we'll see how things will go. I have to say the show was pretty good. I'm not gonna lie, it's very enjoyable. I did enjoy seeing Saya Ida and Natsuko making their debut in this promotion. Hopefully we get to see them in other ones. But yes, but for now we're done. I'm not sure when we will see another Pandemonium show, but hopefully we can do it soon. But as of right now, we'll end things here and move on with our last review, and that is ChocoPro. Okay, ChocoPro number 517. This is their much recent event at Ichigaya Square that took place on April 21st. Of course, as always, Balinaki opened up the show, greeting the fans, giving the info of the entire show's matches that were already been in place. Now, we opened up with an exhibition match with, of course, the new rookies, the trainees. We have, this time, Rin taking on Too Much Energy Chico Shikawa. Now, remember, this is not an actual match. This is an exhibition match with a shorter time time limit, of course. We've often seen the rookies lose their matches against the much experienced wrestlers. Rin, of course, I have to say she does have the potential strength of a powerhouse in her age, but she was no match for someone who's a bit more faster and knows how to use her energy to go quickly to make the pinfall, and that is, of course, Chi, and she did that by pinfall 1, 2, 3, done. Now, our next match, we have Kaho Hiromi and Chris Brooks teaming up with the resident chefs, Sayako Obihiro, aka Obi, and Minoru Fujita. Now, of course, obviously, for those who don't know, these two teams are involved in the Gato Rhapsody, which is the mixed tag team tournament that will happen very soon. But you can consider this more of a preview. Now, the one thing that I think Chris Brooks should have taken consideration is that goddamn gong. If you guys don't know, our resident chefs bring in a gong every single time. The only time they ever that it was used against them is thanks to Trans Am Hiroshi, who was singing a song, but using the gong in a different manner until they let their guard down and yep, that, and they got disoriented. But now they are using that in their own. That's like their primary weapon in case don't things go work out. And they tried it, and of course, unfortunately, Kaho ended up being the victim of the whole gong situation when she got pinned by Obi, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. Of course, Chris always have a temper about losing, but he never blamed Kaho because I think Chris Brooks must have realized he should have known better that the gong was going to be put in play, and this is something that I don't think Kaho has ever experienced. But we'll see how things will roll. Now our next match is a three-way. We have Soy versus Tokiko Kirihara versus our Super Asia champion Miya Yatsuba. Now keep in mind this is a non-title match. It has no stipulation or anything, but it was just a regular three-way match. Now obviously Miya is the primary target due to the fact that if you pin her, she will give you a title shot, and that's something I'm sure Soy and of course Tokiko thought of. But of course, we know Tokiko has great capability with striking capability. We have often seen it, and recently she's been using submission. Soy has a bit of the powerhouse dynamic, but of course, she would have taken out anybody. But however, it's Tokiko with an overthrow onto Miya, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, she picked up the win, pin Miya, and just like that, it was over. However, I wouldn't be surprised if she challenges for this championship, and that's something I'm sure we all could expect. Now, our main event, we have Shota Kawakami from Gambari teaming up with Chiko Shikawa. They take on the Best Bros, Balinaki and Mei Shruga. Now, obviously, we know that the Best Bros are a good cohesion team. They have been very, very well as a team. We even know that Balinaki can't stand Mei Shruga's shenanigans at times, but they did their job pretty well. They even do that. Even though with a makeshift team like Shota and Chi, that's something that no one knows what to expect. However, it was Shota Kawakami who ended up on the wrong side of a backflip from Mei Shruga coming off from Balinaki's shoulders, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was done. Now, our main event, our Janken Tournament, well, this one was real fun, but the finalists to ended up at the last two was none other than Obi taking on the general manager of Got to Move, and also she's our resident referee, Aoi Kizuki, and just like that, Kizuki picked up the win, winning the chocolate, leaving Obi as the runner-up. So it was a fun match. Can't wait to see how things will go for their next big show, so we'll stay tuned for that. But as of right now, we'll end things here, and let's wrap up our episode with some news updates. Okay, so welcome to our news updates. This is going to be a bit of a shorter one for everyone. We do have some upcoming events. First, let's start with some GCW ones. As you know, they'll be making their debut at Des Moines, Iowa for Ring of Fields on the 17th of May. They just announced the GCW World title will be on the line. The Silver Tooth Satan, Acticus Cogar, defends it against, what's his name? One called Mander, so that's going to be interesting. And then, of course, a new show has been announced for the at Indianapolis on the 20th of June called The Last Ones Left. It's still unclear who's going to be in it, but there was a picture of Vandal 48, which features the Cogar brothers, Atticus and Otis, along with their stablemate Christian Napier. So it's still unclear whether they are involved or not until it's 100% confirmed. And then finally, of course, as you know, we have the Italian promotion, SAJ Wrestling in Milan. They will be, they announced for their abnormal event that'll happen on October 3rd. The Best Bros, Balinaki and Mei Shruga will be making their official debut. Pretty interesting to hear that. Now, our only development here, as you all know, Saki Kashima, well, she just recently retired. Her last appearance was at the Stardom All-Star Grand Queendom, but her official match that she had was days prior at Corkin Hall, which I reviewed recently. But recently she actually talked about Kashima. Let me pull that up because it's kind of emotional what she had to say. I begged Saki Tan not to go, um, whining, selfishing while clinging onto her in tears, but she retired anyway. Even after her debut, she made me so many chances to wrestle, and we fought in tons of unit rivalries too. We might have clashed at first when we ended up in the same unit, but once I caught on to Saki's Tan's tenderest size, we became close, super close. Sharing matching day every day. Just having Sakitan in the ring made everyone brighten up, and I loved wrestling next to her or watching from the seconds. There were so many things only Sakitan could do, and so many things that were possible only because of she was the um, A1 of the kind of pro wrestler. My favorite pro wrestling, Kashima Saki-san. Thank you so much. Yeah, yeah. Basically, if you guys ever follow the stories, Kashima was not a big fan of Lady C. And of course, she even told her since joining, she wanted her to carry her luggage. So, but of course, she always avoided her. But of course, right now, Kashima made her choice. There's nobody can do about that. But it is what it is. But I'm glad we got to share to see Kashima before she went, and I'm sure we had a lot of fun with her. So hopefully down the line we see her down making an appearance, just saying hi to everybody. But we'll see. But as of right now, let's call it a day. Alright, so I hope everybody enjoys this episode. Coming up, as you know, we have NXT. That is going to be our priority of this part of our next episode. But however, I haven't decided what else. I am considering doing, of course, the recent Wrestling Revolver show, Revolver Strong, of course, that came out recently on YouTube. I might review that one. So we'll see how things will go. And I'm trying to catch up with some of the events that I want to do with the special episode. I haven't done that for a while. Got caught on with everything else, but we'll see. But for now, NXT is a priority. If there's anything else, we'll see. So, until then, I will see you guys in the next DWZ time. Same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye, and have a nice day. Bang.